Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world and not in that way. I am Zach Razor Law, and this is Sports by Scarona. Tonight we'll talk about kneeling as a bad thing, what happened to ESPN's Heart, one of the worst professional football games in a while, and that's on the same weekend as the Browns and Jets played.
And it was not the Browns and Jets.
We bring back Lisa London, the not the creator of the Cabo Cove, but
Cabot Cove.
Cabot Cove. Yeah, someday.
Jessica Fletcher tries for you.
I'm glad that you corrected him because he's got me saying Colin Kaepernick wrong.
Oh boy.
Cabot Cove.
So we're not cursing players and being a fantasy shark. She has to watch Jay Cutler on purpose, and I believe we have the custom special Jay Cutler T-shirt on tonight.
I did in fact wear my Don't Care Dolphin Jay Cutler shirt.
I like.
If you don't read the draw play, you should promptly go and read the draw play. It is absolutely hilarious. It's probably the funniest comic out there, and it's a football comic. And I asked the author to allow me to make a shirt for myself, and it is the Don't Care Dolphin, complete with the smoking the cigar, Jay Cutler.
The Don't Care Dolphin.
Yes, with the stadium on fire.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, see, Sunday there were moments I wasn't sure who really gave less of a shit, Jay Cutler or Jarvis Landry.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Oh, Crazy Cat Mama Mug.
She's got everything.
Crazy Cat Mama Mug.
Bringing the A game to the show tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the Dolphins are everything I expect of the Dolphins. Like I always feel like even when there's nothing outward before, like now, obviously the storm just broke with our offensive line coach, but you always just feel like in Miami, like I always feel like there's something terrible brewing in our locker room. It just feels like it's dysfunctional, even if we don't know it's dysfunctional. So I'm kind of not really surprised that people are phoning it in sometimes and getting frustrated. I mean, I don't know what he was hypothetically snorting, allegedly, on video, but I can't imagine it helped the offensive line very much, which is actually holding true to its term of being offensive. That line's when Fasano is the most important player you've got in, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
Yeah, I forgot that was one of the key offseason moves that didn't get talked about very much because Fasano was big because the Titans always like to run 2-3 tight end sets. And now they're going big on Philip Supernaw, who had one of the greatest crappy and awesome series in like of the whole weekend that no one's going to talk about because no one should talk about this game ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it was like first and goal at the 1 or at the 3. Like apparently the Titans on one drive all day was like, oh, just hand the ball off a lot. Oh, our offensive line's good. You know, they just forgot about that the rest of the game. No, Matt Cassell should throw the ball. And Supernaw got like 2 straight procedure penalties, I think it was, and then he caught a touchdown pass, which is just weird that the Titans always give their 4th string tight end Frank Wycheck's old number and he gets to wear it. And, you know, he scored a touchdown, though. It was good.
Yeah, that game was – I mean, I don't know which worries me more. You guys, at least you have Cassell to blame. I mean, your expectations are naturally low with Matt Cassell.
Is it Cassell or Castle? I think it's Castle.
I mean, honestly, I just go, oh, God. So that's who's in? Oh, God. Oh, really? Which one? Is it Flynn? No, the other one.
Well, it's kind of funny that Matt Moore is the current quarterback crush down there because, I mean, fans were booing and calling for Matt Moore.
Yes, they were the two birds. First of all, I'm surprised there were that many Dolphin fans still around, but you know that Dolphin fans always leave in the third quarter. That's kind of a thing. And, so the thing is that if you're going to lose, everybody likes Matt Moore. He's a likable guy. who, I mean, nobody thinks he's
That makes
starting
sense.
quarterback. I don't really think. I mean, there's probably people out there that do, but for the most part, it's not. There's no overwhelming feeling of he's our starting quarterback. It's more of a, if we're going to lose, why do we have to lose with smoking? Give that guy a cigarette and put Matt Moore in because we like him better. I think that's more of what's going on. So Jay Cutler's either going to have to win more, or I imagine we'll be hearing more boo birds.
Yeah, that was just.
Yeah.
I mean, watching the game. Of course, I had the red zone on, and not surprisingly, of course, I didn't think I saw much of even Texans Titans on there, but the Dolphins Titans clearly were not very high on the red zone plays. I'm not sure who's more qualified to talk about this first. So Matt Castle like moves his arm forward and the ball goes forward. And then the one player who reacts to it is the Dolphins player who picks it up and runs for a touchdown. And then the refs are like, he scored, and then they don't call it back. And at that point, it was 10-0. I'm like, whoa, this is over.
Yeah, I'm a Dolphins fan, and I'm still like, what just happened?
They got hosed on like back-to-back drives. It was like ridiculous because the penalty on Delaney Walker was ridiculous, just utterly ridiculous. And I went back and looked, and yeah, the Dolphins had 13 men on the field for that fumble recovery, and you know,
well, we need all the help we can get. I mean, honestly, it's like handicap golf. You know, I mean, they should do it on the offense instead of the defense. Like, we get 12. You know. Seahawk has the 12th man. We want one too. We just need ours on the line blocking.
Well, I mean, on the return, wasn't it like guys came on the field because they thought the play was over because it was an incomplete pass and it was like probably third down or something? It was like punt team guys.
I've never seen anybody fumble with that kind of spiral before, so it was interesting.
Like Matt Ryan against the Bills had a similar play the week before, but he did get hit and the ball kind of came out, but it still looked like, I mean, I thought when in doubt, like anything close to a throw, the ball has to like come out like as the ball's coming back for it to be considered a fumble, and they went forward. It wasn't pushed by his hand or. I mean, one of Cassell's probably best passes of the day, except for the one to Delaney that I assumed the Delaney pass, because I didn't see it, was like some kind of screen pass where it was like a legal block downfield, but apparently it was like the guy was like way away from the play.
Yeah.
And Delaney just smoked the guy, and he like had a defensive back. They just like said, "Oh, you little guy, just fall over," and knocked him over. It was great.
It was one of the longer passes that Matt Castle completed.
So it was more than 3 yards, but probably less than 7.
And it was actually one of the very few plays I remember that the Titans threw on, I believe it was a 3rd and long situation where they actually threw the ball at or a little bit past the marker, the first down marker. So, yeah. It was a disaster all around.
Yeah, say what you want about Twitter these days, but people showing all these videos of like 3rd and long for the Titans, and like everybody's open, and let's call him Cassinator, the check downinator, just threw it.
You can't kind of like Alex Smith, because Alex Smith is Captain Checkdown. So
I don't know. Alex Smith has turned a corner. He's like.
Apparently, all he needed was motivation.
But
I will not have any Alex Smith slander on a show that I'm involved in. Okay?
I love Alex Smith. Until this year, he lived on. He was officially like, I just put him at the beginning of the season of like, he's your number 1 grinder quarterback. Just get him and just pretend he's here every week, because he's gonna be in my mind every week. But this year, he actually was so popular that he's no longer makes my list. So, but yes, I love him, and you should definitely read the Draw Play Alex Smith series with Captain Checkdown.
I'll have to check. Yeah, it is very. You're right. He's a very, very funny guy. And what was that website? I was actually thinking about this not long ago. There was another, not Kissing Susie Colbert, but there's another one where they did little videos, and I remember the one that they did of Jack Del Rio, and this was back when he was a Jags coach, and it made me hee-haw every time.
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of it, but it was funny.
Yeah, not enough fun in football anymore.
Sal of the 2 quarterback leagues who actually said he wasn't going to play fantasy this league was the guy who always kind of joked about Alex Smith being his guy, and it's kind of appropriate that the year that he's not playing, Alex Smith is a guy that, I mean, he was probably the 28th quarterback taken in fantasy leagues, especially because everybody's like, oh, the rookie guy, oh, they're going to take him because they traded up for him. Alex Smith is probably not going to play all year, and one of the best pickups. I mean, if you have him in a best ball, because the weeks you probably wouldn't start him even though he's playing well. It's that Alex Smith brand name, it means something.
Yeah, I have a super flex where it's a dynasty, and my quarterbacks are Flacco, Smith, and Teddy Bridgewater. So I start a lot of Alex Smith. There's a whole lot of Alex Smith being the star of my team, which is kind of sad, but true.
This is the way my fantasy year has gone. I had I drafted this might be our Yahoo league, as a matter of fact. I drafted Cam Newton fairly high because I really thought he was going to do well. He did not early on. Alex Smith was my backup quarterback. I stuck with Cam until the week that he blew up and started Alex Smith. And then last week I was like, no way he can repeat. I just don't trust him yet. And did I start him again? No. Fortunately, Alex Smith has still continued to do well, but he still hasn't replicated that first game that he had.
No, that first game was awesome just because he did it to Tom Brady.
Yep. He did it for America.
Yes.
We're all
Alex
Kansas
Smith is
City
definitely
fans.
the hero we need and deserve.
Yes, in both, yeah. Although I would say that your preseason brandy-fueled rant on the Tennessee defense seems to be extraordinarily correct. And what worries me more is that we couldn't get to, seriously, 16 points was all. Your defense is like a turnstile, and my offense was like, no, this is really a hard game. They're tough. They have pulses, and they.
I'd forgotten about that. I did. I went off.
And you were not wrong. I mean, every time I see anybody versus Tennessee that's not my Dolphins, they automatically assume they're going to score 127 points.
It's crazy. I need to go and cut that out and post that somewhere.
Yeah. They said that I think Jay Cutler was like the 4th quarterback in NFL history to have less than 100 yards passing and lead his team to the game-winning drive. And it was basically because he only had to drive
5 yards per completion. 3.5.
They went 60 yards in that last drive, I think.
Not all hit.
Matt Castle was marginally better at 4.1.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all Cutler. I mean, he's terrible. But there's also, like I said, I expect an extraordinary amount of locker room dysfunction because I just assume the Dolphins are always in that. The line sucks. The receivers are dropping passes as usual. Nobody's really doing football things except for the defense. And unfortunately, apparently, we can't get Ndamukong Suh to be the quarterback. That's against the rules or something. I don't know. So, but if that happens, I wouldn't mind necessary roughness where we just make the defense play offense too.
Well, you could run. I mean, run the veer with Suh and just try to stop him.
Yeah, there was a play. Missouri's own Charles Harris just got in Castle's face, and the ball just he knocked it straight back. I was surprised he didn't just run and grab it because the rest probably would have called that a touchdown. So I'm at least glad that happened. But yeah, that was 10-0, and then the Titans forced a fumble, and they went 3 and out. And I saw the play; it was 3rd and 16. They throw a 2-yard crossing pattern to Delaney. Just what's the difference? I mean, Ryan Suckup, I think he set the record. Was it 46 straight inside 50-yard field goals? But it was like the difference between like a 50-yard field goal and a 48-yard. I mean, it made no difference what they did there. They were just like, okay, they should have kicked the field goal on third down. That would have been
It's
fine.
not fantasy football. You don't get extra points for the
I actually would like to see that, where the NFL is just something like, I think in one of my leagues I had said it was before they got into 63. So I'd set it at 62. Like you could have an extra point for the field goal if they beat the record.
Yeah.
That was the way you get. I would mind the NFL being like, if you can make like 65, we'll give you 4 points.
Well, I took what was it, McManus, the guy from Denver. I would just like when he's at home, you just start him because they'll try a field goal from like inside 60. I think he made it. Was he the guy that made the? Or was it Prater? Prater made the 65-yarder against the Titans.
I think it's Prater.
It was like a year with Peyton, and like the Titans were actually close to the half, and they kicked like a 65-yard field goal, and then they just rolled them in the second half.
I mean, once that record got broken, then it just got like continuously broken. It just got ridiculous with the kickers just nailing.
Well, it kept getting tied, and I was like, the dude who broke the record like kicked it from beyond his 50, and he had like half a foot. He had this metal bar in his foot, and he made the field goal. I feel like, and he kicked it straight ahead. Like nobody kicks it straight ahead anymore with the special shoe. So I'm like, you get,
I think the first time it got tied was in Mile High, if I remember correctly. So it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, in the Titans opener, the Raiders kicker was like hitting the crossbar and knocking it through, and that's like 80 yards away. So kickers now, I mean, the kicker from the Raiders, that was his first game, and he made 2 50-yarders, like no big deal. Like 50-yarders are now like, That's why I'm excited and happy about my kicker pickup off the waiver. Harrison Butker, baby.
There you go.
The Titans had a kicker who could really boot it. He was from Brazil, I think, but he couldn't get it through the uprights. That was a huge problem.
Yeah, they're weird about that. They
may have made another team, but yeah. So how did it feel to spend like 2/3 of your waiver bucks and Scott Fishbowl on Marlon Mack just for the Titans game?
I don't actually know if mine go through. Did waivers go through?
Yes, they went through earlier
every
today.
year I'm confused about when, because most waivers are like overnight Tuesday, but the Scott Fishbowl are like 1 p.m.
Oh, are they 1 now?
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Half my leagues make them. I understand why they make them Wednesday at 8 because the injury report comes in. But a lot of them are like West Coast leagues, so they all run at 11:30. And I'm like, I'm in bed. I got stuff to do in the morning. So I have actually no idea. Did I actually win Marlon Mack this time?
Yeah, I think I made a bid for like 9, and I think your $67 bid won.
Basically, my team is a flaming dumpster fire going down hard. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to spend all my money now. And then, I'll just try and make sure I start a starting lineup for the rest of the season. That's all I got. I already lost, I think, like 4 players on the team. I mean, I had A-Rob, I had Enenwa, yeah.
I've got 4 quarterbacks. But I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the free.
You have Hogan? Who got Hogan?
I got Hogan in like every league but this one. So Scott Fishbowl.
I've got Chris Hogan in that league.
I won last week.
You're talking about that other Hogan.
I think it's Scott Fishbowl. I got a winning record, but yeah, I did get stomped by Lisa a couple weeks ago. Yeah. She laid down the Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith 1-2 on me on Monday night, and just
yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my entire team is them and and Ezekiel Elliott. And then a bunch of people, like just really. I have Funchess, so if he plays, he's great. If not, he wasn't doing anything until a couple weeks ago. And I just got guys. They literally just have random players that you're like, really? They play football? That's my team. Everybody else is injured already. That's how most of my teams go. Other people are like, I can't believe that I lost 4 players already. I'm like, that's what every league is like for me. I had Dalvin Cook in 2 leagues.
I know, that was sad.
For the top spot, and he went down. I was like, oh, poor Dalvin.
Yeah, I think Dalvin Cook is the guy I kept taking instead of Kareem Hunt in like the 3rd round, and it seemed to go okay, but Yeah, in our Yahoo league, like I got the highest score by like 100 points like 5 weeks in, but I lost Dalvin Cook last week and I lost Odell. And for some reason on Yahoo they have like an IR spot. We don't have like a keeper or dynasty, but it's like I can't cut Odell. It just feels weird. So I put him in IR. And I had to pick up like
Oh, we
Mike
do
Williams.
have an IR spot? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's like temporary, there's the 8-week version, so I guess it makes sense for guys like that. But Odell Beckham he's done. He won't be back walking until like February probably.
When I watched it, I was like, oh, that's not, whatever it is, it's not going to be. That was, damn.
So the Giants wide receivers.
Odell, I need to check my leagues. I've got
Giants
Odell
wide
somewhere.
receivers last week were like the Lisa London of football teams because they had 4 receivers get injured in the same week.
Yes, I do pretty much.
You were down to 1 receiver, and of course Evan Ingram, who I know the famous bet Sharona made, but I believe you made that with Katie.
I'm going to win that bet.
No, you bet under 450.
Can we talk about how much I'm still going to win it because the Giants' offense stinks. Can we talk about how badly Can we talk about how badly Mike Evans is sucking and what Sharona should do about it?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I am Mike Evans.
What happened? Because I just, as someone who's paid less attention this year, some things just shocked me. Like I was looking at 2 guys I've had. Well, actually, no. I got a trade offer from Amani Cooper, and I was like, well, let me see how he's doing this year. I looked at Amani Cooper, and I looked at Jamison Crowder, and you look at their numbers for the year, and you're like, that's pretty good numbers for 1 week, and that's 5 weeks into the season. Like Amani Cooper has less than 10 yards receiving the last 3 weeks, but not 0. And he just wiped the floor with the Titans. Of course, who doesn't? But I don't know what happened there. And Jamison Crowder I know got hurt, but he was one of the guys I took in Scott Fishbowl and thought, ooh, he'll be a good weekly starter, and he's done nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a league where it's like I have Shepard, Doxson, Enunwa. I don't know if I have Funches in that one. It basically, I actually make my leagues. I've been trying to make them expand IR. I'm like, can we have like 7 spots? I need 7 IR spots. So, no, the Giants now like Roger Lewis is going to be their leading receiver. They're so far down now. They're just going to be like, they can do a contest in the stands. Like, can you catch?
Those were the most popular.
The ball gets to be our receiver.
They're the most popular guys to pick up. Like, I know most players in the NFL, but there's some guy named Travis Rudolph who's starting them at wide receiver. I've never heard of him. Like, I know they took some guy who's like a Georgia draftee of the Broncos, Tavares King. I think they picked him up, but it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, when you do, like a player comes up, sometimes on the defense or maybe offensive line, I don't know a guy, but usually skill position because I'm in a dynasty league that's super deep. We have like 5, 6 IR spots, and they're always taken. I mean, that's a given.
Right. So no, it's bad. I mean, the Giants and I have Eli Manning in the fishbowl as one of my quarterbacks. So his value, which was not that great in anyways, is now just pretty much a flaming dumpster fire with nobody to throw the ball to. Except Shane Green.
This is the only probably ever made s'mores bourbon barrel stout.
I can't believe I turned that down.
It is really good. It really does taste like s'mores. I mean, you get more of the marshmallow kind of flavor, but then you get the bourbony, like little chocolate thing going. It's very good. This is
really drink, and I would have been like, yeah, I got to at least try that.
Yeah, Dragon's Milk is one of the few like bourbon barrel stouts that's like available year round, and it's really good. And then they once a year do a special version. One was like vanilla chai, and I was like, well, screw that. And they had one that was like raspberry, and I missed out on that. And then I saw this one, I was like, yes. So, but I was gonna save it, but I've heard from Mark Margosian, our auction coordinator. He says that the flavored stouts aren't so good to age. But I think it was just an excuse. I was like, I probably had 10 beers in the fridge, and I'm like, right before the show, I'm like, oh, these 2 that are in my closet, they're better. So I just threw them in the fridge. Yeah. It's just how it goes. You have to go by feel. I feel like it's the Titans offensive coordinator plan. Like, just throw random plays on the field.
I can see that.
But I don't. Yeah. So Sharona, you want to take things a different direction? I know you said you wanted to talk about Jarvis Landry, and got a Dolphins fan right here.
I brought it up.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting to watch that game and to be like, there was one play, and I tweeted it out. Jay Cutler just nonchalantly, and it was a catchable pass, and Jarvis Landry just gave very little effort for it and did not haul it in. And I was like, oh well, these guys don't really care. It was just interesting.
I could be super wrong with this, and I'm not. I mean, yeah, obviously the guys that are gonna know are gonna be people like Omar, what's his name, or Wendo or whatever. Like those are the guys that cover the Dolphins are gonna know. But I just always feel like there's times where you can feel like the locker room is probably a flaming dumpster fire, and it just comes out onto the field. And I feel like this is probably one of those times between the stuff with the kneeling and whatever's going on between management and Gase. It was like, I don't care if they kneel. And then all of a sudden he's like, nobody can kneel. And Cutler being there, and now the offensive line coach having some issues. And I just have a feeling that remember, at the beginning of the season, he didn't know if he was staying, if he had a job. So when you have to actually have your coach confirm that you're not being traded, that's kind of not a great workplace environment. Like when you're like, I could be fired tomorrow. What's going on? So I have a feeling that at least some of the team may have given up, which sucks. But at the same time, yeah, when the stadium's on fire, I can't blame people for running.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about this mutual fandom? Like, so growing up, I was a Dolphins fan, which made zero sense because I grew up in Pittsburgh in the 70s.
How do you not be a Steelers fan?
I have the kind of personality where I just go, let me try the other way. So I
have
picked
a friend here who grew up and is a Pittsburgh fan, even though he grew up here at the same time the Dolphins and would be the same. He's my age, so 70s, 80s Dolphins.
Well, I mean, according to family lore, Dan Marino actually lived on the street my family lived on before we moved to the place I lived when I was born. So he is a Pittsburgh guy.
Yes.
It's still weird that the Steelers didn't take him because it was so late in the first round. But hey, it worked out. But I think I just saw the color, like the teal, not the light blue, like take a powder blue like Chargers jersey and like bleach it by accident kind of color they have going on. I really like that. And of course, Marino was great. And Shula was there. And of course, I got to watch him in the 80s, not in the 70s. So I got to watch him like get blown out in Super Bowls a couple times. Like when you really thought they had a chance. Like the 49ers just rolled them.
Oh, God, that game was terrible. That was painful. I mean, yeah, Montana just killed us. But at least like that was a team that even though we couldn't win, you didn't feel like the whole world was on fire. Shula's great. Everyone loved Shula. It was sad when he went. And then we ended up with like just the world's worst carousel of coaches coming in for years.
See, after Shula, it was
it Johnson or Dave Wannstedt
Jimmy
or
Johnson.
something?
Now, he was okay.
He came in and he wasn't, because he'd just come out of Dallas and he was okay. And then he wasn't great. And he picked up some the locker room changed a bit. And then we went through, I can't even tell you the order.
It's the next guy that I'm trying to think of his name. And
I mean, Wannstedt was there at one point.
Wannstedt, that's him. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Dave Wannstedt.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I was trying to repress those memories.
I'm sorry.
You have like a Jay Fiedler jersey somewhere? I feel like you have to.
Trigger warning if you're going to start bringing up things like Dave Wannstedt. I think that's just, like, that's terrible stuff. God. Oh.
I kind of don't blame Jimmy Johnson. Like, he went to Miami and thought, well, teams are just going to hand me like 15 draft picks like the Vikings are, and I'm going to pick the right players for those picks. And it didn't work. And he kept taking like mediocre running backs that could never get one worth of crap. And did they win like one playoff game with him? I mean, he wasn't around too long.
No,
it was 2 years. I think he was only there like 2 years. Like, seriously.
And then there was the period of time where I think the only time we made playoffs, we had Chad Pennington as our quarterback.
Now listen, I like Chad
I
Pennington.
forgot about Chad because Chad was like, he had one of the weakest arms in NFL history, but he was deadly accurate and actually worked until they like played the Ravens in the playoffs and got smashed. But
no, never threw picks. He was nice guy. Yeah, never threw more than like 7 yards.
He was Mr. Checkdown.
Yes, he was. He was the true and original Captain Checkdown.
Yeah.
That was just, there was even checking. It was just like, they're just like, don't even bother running around more than 15 yards because nobody's going to believe it anyways. Like the 9 route was kind of more like a 4.5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being a Dolphins fan for a while was kind of like being a Cowboys fan in that during the Landry years, what did they have, like 1-2 years they make the playoffs, and Don Shula had a couple losing records until like the very end.
Yeah.
And so you just knew they were going to make it, and you knew they were going to lose. Like when I was coming to college at Missouri, there was like a guy wearing a Bills shirt. The Bills were going to Miami for the AFC Championship game, and you knew that the Dolphins were going to get pounded. It just was guaranteed. I was like, yeah, okay, we made it to the championship game. That's fine.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, even like when the 85 Bears were literally crushing the NFL, the only loss they had that year was us. And then we ended up lost to the Patriots, so we didn't make playoffs.
But in all fairness, you still have the undefeated season. Which
I am now rooting. I'm actively rooting for a team to break. That's not.
Think it'll break your curse?
Well, here's the thing. You know it's eventually going to be broken. And the top candidates to break it are teams that none of us, I think we can all agree we don't want to break it. Starting with number 1, the New England Patriots.
But the Chiefs could do it. They're undefeated. Would you be okay if the Chiefs did it? I'd be okay if the Chiefs did it.
I would be okay if the Chiefs did it. Like, if there was a team to do it, that's one of the teams I'd be like, you know what?
The only team that can at this point.
Let it be the Chiefs. Like, let Arrowhead have that. I don't want it to be the Cowboys or the Eagles or the Patriots. Like, as annoying as we are every year for taunting that, I mean, that's because it's all we have left. Look at our team. That's it. We've got the 72, 73 years. But could you imagine the Dallas Cowboys or the Patriots if they did it?
Their fans are awful anyway. It'd be
right, or the
trillion
Eagles,
times worse.
Who actually
it almost happened, yeah.
I mean, come on, the Eagles jump Santa Claus. Like, Lord knows they don't need that. So yeah, so like I sort of root depending on the team. I'm kind of root for some of these teams now. Like I said, if the Chiefs made it, I'd be okay with it. At least it's them, and not the Patriots.
Yeah, I guess I've never gotten a big head about the NFL because, you know, as a Dolphins fan in the 80s and 90s, and they actually contended, but they never won it. Like, we actually went to the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and I really thought, as a Dolphins fan, it would have been amazing. Like, the Bears, Dolphins playing that Super Bowl. But for some reason, the Patriots came to Miami and beat them down and just, ruined that dream. Yeah. And in the early 90s, I moved to Kansas City, and that was the Marty Schottenheimer years when, like, they won their first playoff game since the Super Bowl IV in 90. And I still get a kick out of, like, Sully and the fans on, like, Twitter because they're so full of themselves. Like, the Chiefs are, like, 4-0, 5-0. And I'm like, you guys haven't won 2 straight playoff games since you won the Super Bowl in the 60s. So relax. Like, I've seen Kansas City had the number 1 seed twice and blew it. And they had the number 2 seed that one year Peyton came and beat them. And, of course, then I switched to being a Titans fan, and they've lost with the number 1 seed twice. It's been some painful playoff losses. But, I mean, the Dolphins, they made it last year. But, yeah, the Steelers kind of made quick work of them.
Yeah. I wasn't even alive when the Dolphins won the Super Bowls. I was born in 74, so.
Woohoo, 74, represent.
Apparently I was like
it's like the year before. Yeah, we just missed out.
That was it. I was born and they were like, you will never win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a long time to have a curse.
Yeah, I do that. What can I say?
So we'll slightly move on. So this week, The Titans play on Monday Night Football, and I swear it's been like 5 years since they played Monday Night Football.
Wasn't it the Jets then, and it was a
Will
shitty game?
Will Marcus Mariota play? Because I feel like
Please, I'm so sorry.
there's so much going on there. Like the Titans obviously know that their offense, even a non-running Mariota, because he won't do the Jake Locker just run into guys kind of thing. Obviously, the offense will be better. And the Colts' defense is typically bad, but they haven't beat the Colts. I don't even know. It was 5 years? It's been like 11 games. And Luck's gone. Luck has played Titans every time in his career. And Jacoby Brissett actually, is a Konami code guy, like a streaming guy who's actually had some good weeks. So what do you think, Sharona? Will Mariota play? And if he does, is that a really dumb idea for a team that needs a franchise quarterback? Because it's a little bit brittle.
Yes and yes. I think that if he's at all standing and capable of moving, they will play him. And yes, it is dumb. And yes, I dreadfully fear that he's going to be the next Jake Locker. It's interesting about I really like Jacoby Brissett. I think that he's got some tools, and obviously he comes from a system where I do think that they take the time to try and develop their players and work with their players. The Titans have a knack for making backup quarterbacks look like superstars. So I have every reason to believe that that is going to continue.
Yeah, I've been in my dynasty league. I had Cam Newton and like nothing else, so obviously I had to play him every week. But I did pick up Brissett, and I have to definitely consider playing him this week. Or I could get the Josh McCown. What is it? The Josh McCown revenge tour. He never played for the Patriots. Like the only team he hasn't played for. So yeah.
I have to start McCown in 2 leagues this week. I would avoid him because he'll probably be broken.
Oh, gosh. We're gonna start, Lisa, every week. Zach
I'm
and I
serious. Like
we're gonna start asking you who you picked up as a streamer.
you need to have like
at the same team, I have Dalvin Cook and Tyler Eifert. I have.
It sounds like Jason Kelsey's out.
No, I swear. Now Bob Harris, who we've had on the show a couple times, has talked about how he used to have.
Travis.
He used to have a 900 number where people would call and get box scores. I think people should get like a phone number to call and just get your lineups and go, oops, Charles Clay's out of my lineup. Okay, Josh McCown's out. All right.
I actually used to, this is the first year I didn't do it. I used to do a spreadsheet because the people who in the league, which I just rejoined, it was a home league where I got the moniker, the Jessica Fletcher moniker in the first place. They used to make me actually tell them how many shares I owned of every player, particularly quarterbacks, so that they wouldn't draft them in other leagues. So I got into the habit, and every year I would do a spreadsheet of all my players. And so I could tell you how many shares I had of each player. Like Rob Kelly, come on. I think you even realized I had like 5 shares. I have like 7 shares of him or something.
I'm clinging to my lone share that I have left simply because my other running backs are.
Yeah, I owed so much Rob Kelly. I'm surprised he made it to week 3. I've had him, and yeah, there are certain players where you're like, how are you still walking? But that league I rejoined for the first time in like 4 years, and I drafted Dalvin Cook. It was leading me to second. I'm in second place, and then he got injured along with Travis Kelce. I have him there. So
wait, is Travis Kelce hurt? I need to hear more about this.
Yeah. Concussion.
Yeah, he didn't practice today.
He did?
Did not.
Oh, that's not good.
Yep.
That
Joku to replace him is the only tight end I could find.
The King of the Hill League, which is like a Scott Fishbowl like league.
Oh, yeah.
My first 2 picks were Gronk and Kelce, and I didn't take any more tight ends. And Gronk missed last week, and I'm like, really? My first 2 guys are out? I mean, my first and third round picks are dead in the Yahoo League.
Tyler Eifert's done for the season. I knew that
Tyler Eifert, I cut him a couple weeks. I really was like, should I hold on to him? And then it's like this week, Tyler Eifert's got like his second back surgery. No, this would be like his third. I did say, like, did Tyler Eifert at least get like a second contract? Because I think he might be done because he just gets hurt a lot, and it's just some players that happens to. Like our old buddy Jake Lucker.
Has he played more than 4 games in a row in like 3 years? He's been on my team. Maybe I'll drop him and see if like he'll heal.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi
Hey,
comes
Reuben Foster returned to practice. That's good.
Oh, there you go.
Reuben Foster.
Silver line.
Jamie Collins did too. Woohoo!
Well, we talked about, the franchises we both follow and how they break our hearts.
Mm.
Last night I did a show from like 8 to 9, and then I went onto Twitter because I don't have like ESPN or that kind of cable anymore. And I saw somebody post that the U.S. soccer team was losing to Trinidad and Tobago last night. And so the scenario...
Talk about the men's soccer team. Yes.
The scenario in soccer that happened last night is the U.S. basically was in the World Cup, but they had a 2-point lead over Honduras and Panama, and all 3 were playing. The U.S. was playing Trinidad and Tobago, which had lost 7 games in a row. And if Honduras and Panama won and the U.S. lost, they would jump them, and the U.S. would be out of the World Cup for the first time since 1986. And it happened.
It was the worst loss in the U.S. But let's not forget that the women are kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah, the
and
women
significantly less, despite the fact that they win all the time.
They should they should definitely like ask for a raise at this point. And by the way, I think it was one of the women's soccer players, Rapone, I think, who actually like took a knee for the.
She was the first person to take a knee.
And that was way before it was whatever the hell it's become. But yeah, the U.S. like the final set of like qualifying for the U.S. Like when the U.S. made the World Cup in 1990, they had to beat Trinidad and Tobago on the road, and they did. And the only reason they made it is because in this region there was only one berth, and Mexico always got it, and the U.S. didn't make it. I mean, I think it was the 40s the last time they made it, and they made it in like 90. But now there are 6 teams in the final set, and 4 of them make it. Like the last one plays the playoff and plays like, well, Australia's okay, but last one was New Zealand, and the U.S. came in 5th. Like the U.S., they said Trinidad and Tobago has like a population of 1.5 million, and they beat the U.S. And by the way, Iceland, they qualified for the first time, and Iceland has the population about the size of St. Louis. Yep. So it's
apparently it's a population that plays soccer better.
If you go to the World Cup, you know where you're going to go. You're going to go to Russia. So maybe it's okay that you shouldn't go.
By the way, I'm wearing my Batman T-shirt since we're talking about T-shirts.
Nice. That's a good T-shirt.
Well, I do have. I forgot that I'm representing. I'm wearing buttons today. I'm the first
have you talked about
to make a Well, I was talking to Sharona, and you didn't wear your Randy Monsters yet. I thought you might.
I didn't.
I'm probably the first person to have these 3 buttons on at the same time. So I'm wearing the. Let's see. Here we go. Right there. This is the Tennessee Titans domestic violence. Stop the violence button that they gave away when Parrish Cox was on the roster.
And so, Taylor Lewan, and probably that other guy who...
that other guy. Yeah, Taylor Lewan, you got to talk about him sometime. And the Missouri Tigers SEC East Champions button. I don't know. I think the ones for Tennessee are a little rusty. Anyway. And then the Chattanooga Humanist Association because, represent Chattanooga. Whoop. Anyway.
Listen, I'm trying to forgive Taylor Lewan. I'm a forgiving person. Don't get me wrong. It's just that he's shown absolutely zero remorse, and I don't think that he's sorry. And, Now,
have we told the whole Taylor Lewan story for Michigan? I think you might tell it better, Sharona, so if you want.
What? I'm sorry.
The Taylor Lewan story.
Well, they're...
Want to talk about that just for fun? I mean, not fun, the opposite of fun.
The main one is the fact that his roommate on the football team, believe he was the kicker. I don't remember exactly what position, but I believe he was the kicker. Allegedly raped a young woman. She pursued charges, and Taylor Lewan was upset about it and threatened to rape her if she did not withdraw her charges. And the University of Michigan's handling of the entire situation was so bad that they were under Title IX investigation. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't checked lately. It was, and he was part of that. The fact that he threatened the alleged victim, the accuser, and ultimately the young man who was accused transferred out, and it does appear that yeah, with legalities, and Lisa knows this better than anybody. Nobody, even when charges are not brought by the district attorney, that does not mean that they are cleared. That pisses me off every single time. But it was a thing, and he did other things too. That was the big one.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, compared to that, Laramie Tunsil seems okay.
Yeah, but you know what? He didn't take a knee, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole knee situation. So
That apparently is a deal breaker for everybody.
Jerry Jones tells his team, and the anger over this is just amazing. What people get mad about, like they really do think that we still live in this like sports bubble. And I even talked to Sharona about this earlier today about the whole U.S. soccer team losing and the fact that like sometimes in sports these unforeseen things happen that are just devastating, but you can kind of get over them, but not always. It sometimes, bleeds into real life and literally. But yeah, the whole kneeling thing, I'm pretty sure the Titans have been told like they can't kneel, right? That's why they all stayed in the locker room 2 weeks ago. I don't even know what happened because who was watching the game? Well, maybe you two were, but I don't know.
Did they show what happened I called that
in Miami?
I think I called that
same problem. Gase told that nobody could kneel.
Yeah.
So that's why some of the teams stayed in the locker room. A couple of the guys stayed in the locker room because of it. Now that's the new thing. I'm like, really? That's the line. Like, I have Joe Mixon on my fantasy team. And when I drafted him, I wrote a note that said that I will probably be haunted by the ghost of Betty Friedan, but hopefully he'll run really well for me. But I'm like, what? Like, that's the line.
He's mostly upset because I have him too. And
yeah, I know. Really, honestly, obviously, he punches better than he runs. So, yeah, no. I mean, I just like this is the thing that freaks you out. Like the fact that the military had to pay a bunch of money to be able to unfurl a flag for recruiting. That doesn't make you mad. Like the millions of dollars they were forced to pay the NFL to do the thing doesn't make you mad. The actual shooting of unarmed Black people doesn't make you mad. Somebody taking a knee during the anthem, that's your line. The domestic violence, the shootings, the murders, all the terrible things in the NFL that they do. No, it's taking a knee. Really?
It's amazing the hills that people will die on.
Right? Like I'm like, that's because I was like, okay. I honestly like I understand that Colin Kaepernick there was never a chance he was coming down here because it was more than the knee. I mean, he wore a Fidel Castro shirt, which means you're not coming within like 100 miles of Miami. But
and the pig socks.
Yeah. That I mean those are over the top, but there's a question as to those.
We care more about clothing choices than the actual choices that some of these.
The Fidel Castro shirt in Miami are two things that just like no, like if you ever like are feeling suicidal, go wear a Fidel Castro shirt and then go walk down Coyote and see how that works out for you. So no, like you just can't do that. So and yeah, he's had his problems in trying to figure out where he is and where he's going with the protest. But honestly, first of all, now in turning into like in getting everyone to do it, nobody's actually talking about the shootings anymore, which
I know it's crazy.
Point. Now it's all about can you kneel for the anthem, which the answer is and has always been yes. But if the NFL wants to fire you, they can also do that. It's weird. Like there's a contract and there's rules in it, and it's a contract question. And then free speech wise, though, if you want to go kneel for a flag, you can do that. That's a case. But it seems like the opposite happened, and now instead of it doing what it needs to do, now all anybody's talking about is the kneeling, and nobody's actually talking about the problems. And it's being a wonderful.
And it just happened another time this past week on video where a black man was shot in the back.
Mm-hmm. And it's didn't the one where the guy was running on the child support warrant? I think it was in Carolina or something, and the cop shot him like 8 times, and he was running for it, and he shot him in the back like 8 times, and then planted the taser right next to him. Didn't that cut it off? And yet, like, they're freaking out about kneeling, and I'm like, it's kneeling. Look, you can kneel for a flag. You can burn the flag. You can wear a "fuck the draft" T-shirt in a courthouse. That's a rule. You can wear your religious symbols where you want to wear them. You know, that's conduct of speech, and you can wear these things. You can kneel for a flag. It's not that big of a deal. That's what the Constitution's for. That's what the United States is for. You're not a patriot for freaking out about somebody kneeling. You're a patriot for wanting to stop.
I mean, it's also interesting that the President of the United States threatened to pull the broadcast license of NBC.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, that's
not outraged about that. I mean,
that should be far more scary to people than that. The speech is something that you want to err on the side of allowing. It's better there be a broken window than no speech. I mean, that's the principles under freedom of speech and the First Amendment. It's such a strict scrutiny for the government to interfere in it. And the purpose is because once you let them, they will not stop. And it's not going to stop with kneeling. It's going to stop. It won't stop until you get nothing but what they want you to hear. And that's always been a principle of this country. And when people started talking about, well, they can't do this thing and it's ruining it, not to allow them to do this thing, it's like, just like, seriously? And how many times did you go for a beer during the national anthem? Like, come on.
Oh, go pee. The lines are full.
Right. You're like, oh, the national anthem, that's a great time to get a hot dog. Like, that's no, stop. You know,
at home, I guarantee you people are getting food or peeing or whatever. They're not,
right.
I mean, or sitting in front of,
the entire time I watch the national anthem all year is the Super Bowl. When they have somebody amazing singing. Every once in a while I'll catch it on like a game where I'll be like, oh, stop and listen to this person sing it. But most of the time no, it just doesn't. And it astounds me that this is where we're at, is now we're in this fight, and this fight is keeping us from focusing on, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. Right now, instead of fighting about people taking knees, either pay attention to the issues they're talking about or ignore the issues and go pay attention to everything else happening in the world, besides the fact that you're annoyed that your anthem is being interrupted by a guy taking a knee on the sideline.
Like maybe that people are literally dying in Puerto Rico because they don't have food and water and, you know.
Yeah, no, I can't even imagine right now what it's like in Puerto Rico. I mean, 5 days in Irma, and I was like, this is terrible. And I really didn't get hit that bad. I mean, some people got hammered here, but really, we didn't get hit that bad. I can't even, it's nasty and it's terrible, and that's what the people could be worrying about. But no, oh my God, somebody took a knee. It's the end of the world. And thou shalt not worship false idols. Well, you know what? Thou shalt not sit there and the Constitution is what holds this country together, not a flag, not a song, not a dance. It would be cool if we had a dance. I think that should be a thing. Maybe with dancers and the Rockettes.
If we had a dance, I'd nominate the electric slide.
That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Not the Macarena?
Or the Macarena, yeah.
But either one of those, I would be all for. But yeah, no. So it's amazing how people are like, this is the end of the country. No.
Or the hustle.
Yeah,
I feel like we missed out on the moves.
Yeah,
The moves are there.
I think electric slide's easier to learn.
I think the electric slide is the lick. That's what we need to go with.
Yeah. I mean that one. Yeah. I never learned the Macarena. I can never just figure out there's like the hands.
So we have to, close out with some important talk. So for Miami, is the shine off Adam Gase, or you feel like this year he should get like a mulligan because of the whole Cutler thing? Because obviously it wasn't I mean, maybe it was his choice because he actually did work with Cutler, and Cutler actually was good. But this year clearly isn't working.
I would say I'd give him, and you give him another. The fact that people are so willing to yank coaches so quickly under certain circumstances, I think part of this problem and part of the Dolphins' problem always has been is it's not necessarily just the coaches. It's been dysfunctional top down for so long. I think you give him another year, but I mean, I may be the only person that wasn't like Adam Gase is going to be the second coming and we're all going to be saved. I mean, I thought he might do some good things for the team, but I wasn't totally sold on it. And the fact is that, next year we still have Ryan Tannehill or Jay Cutler. Unless we win the Sam Bradford.
Or Matt Moore.
Or Matt Moore. unless we win and go get a quarterback in the draft, which I think that the Jets and the Browns.
Kirk Cousins is going to be available. Looks like,
yeah,
maybe.
you know what? We will probably overspend. If the most Miami thing in the world would be to give Kirk Cousins the largest contract for a quarterback in history. Like that's totally a thing that we would do. We'd be like, we're going to actually give you Hard Rock Stadium as your contract. You get the stadium and in fact we'll give you part of Miramar. So you can have this area around the stadium. You could charge for parking because that's your contract. And then that'd be the most Dolphin thing ever is we're just going to through the nose. I mean, that's just going to be amazing. Unless Matt Castle's free, in which case we'll give him like $40 million.
That is so
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, I almost forgot about the Mike Wallace contract where they $17 million for 2 years and then just dumped him.
Every time how much should we pay? What do we bring Julius Thomas
again,
for?
number 6 overall NFL draft.
So I still that's the day one. You have to that's salt. You have a thing of salt. You're here's your wound, and you're Hank Gaines Jr. You want a kick returner.
So is there
a kicker in the second, but it's pretty far up there on that.
I remember where the Dolphins took a quarterback with their second round pick 4 years in a row, and it was they traded for Culpepper 1 year.
Oh yeah.
And then they drafted Pat White, who couldn't throw the ball, and they didn't draft Matt Moore. Somebody else drafted him. But there was some other was a guy at BYU who apparently couldn't yell a cadence at the line.
It was a Matt. He beat the Titans 2010.
Well, that happens a lot. Ryan Leaf beat the Titans.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. No, we had Drew Brees. Yeah. The debate was between Drew Brees and Culpepper. And
right, yeah, and Drew Brees is injured. Well, they're both
injured.
Culpepper weren't injured yet.
Culpepper was injured, and they were both coming off injuries. And Drew Brees didn't pass his physical or something.
What was his name? I gotta look it up because now I'm like, what was his name?
I mean, it's been a bad road. The Colts, you got to be annoyed because they went from Peyton to Andrew Luck, but the Dolphins went from Marino to Jay Fiedler, and apparently we're missing Jay Fiedler because he was actually competent. He wasn't very good, but he was.
But
okay.
I miss Fiedler.
To a Rondé Gadsden and those kind of guys, yeah.
Yeah, no.
I guess that was Chad Henne, but there was a Matt too.
Chad Henne, oh yeah.
I mean, we're not as bad as the Browns with the T-shirt that you can make with all of our quarterbacks, but we've had a pretty long list of mediocre to terrible. I mean, at one point, Dan Marino's backup was Bernie Kosar, who may have one of the worst foot throws ever in the NFL, and yet also has a Super Bowl ring. So, that fair, kids.
Who did he play for when he won the Super Bowl? Because
wasn't he the backup in Dallas when they won?
He might have been, yeah. Because I just remember, Cleveland signed him to some extension, and 2 weeks later they cut him or traded him.
Oh yeah,
he just disappeared.
Weird thing. I just remember one time the commentators just stopped at one, and we're like, "Okay, kids, that's not how you throw a football." In the middle of the game, they stopped just to tell everybody that that's not how you should throw a football. That's the Dolphins for you. And you know what? If Bernie Kosar unretired right now, we would also give him $40 million. That's Miami.
But Bernie's
I'm
part
thinking
of
about
QBU, you know, Miami, which also was a weird thing because I was a big Miami fan in the 80s. And they just dominated, and they did finally beat Florida State. It had been like 7 years, but I don't know what happened to Miami football because they haven't even been to a championship game in the ACC. And Duke has been, and Wake Forest has been, but Miami is not.
Well, yeah, they switched. Well, they did switch divisions to the ACC, which makes it harder because they're with FSU now. And Florida football's weird because and now they're starting to get some competition from like USF and UCF coming in for players. But yeah, that stuff like people get very heated, and I weirdly have never really. I guess I was raised a Gator, and I've never actually attached to any of the teams that much. So, but it's always fun to watch.
Raised the Gator, so
Yeah, no,
Sharona should have a little. Well, probably not talk about that game.
It's not.
Because man, like Florida needed Kentucky to like not cover a wide open receiver like with a minute to go for Florida to beat them. And then last week Missouri almost beat Kentucky. Missouri couldn't compete with a Division I team like all year. So the SEC East looks like it's still trash, but hey.
Yeah.
Tennessee didn't fire Butch Jones, right, Sharona? We didn't mention Butch Jones.
Didn't like
Not yet.
the entirety of Florida get arrested. I thought they arrested like half the campus or something.
They did. Like 10 guys were suspended, and
like kids
they'll probably still win the SEC.
Like you're suspended too. Yeah,
Felony charges at that, but you know, I mean, it's kind of
Florida.
hard. I thought it would be hard to top, you know, Aaron Hernandez killing people while he was there, but hey.
Guys, this is the state that literally has Florida man and Florida woman. I mean, if something weird happens, you're like, I bet it's Florida. Of course, all of our colleges are going to have weird stories and terrible scandals. I mean, that's kind of what we do. We're here to make everybody else feel better about themselves, and also for the sun and beaches. But mostly to make you guys feel better.
I've had a lot of fun in Florida. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, great state.
And for Dexter, I mean, we can't forget that.
Yeah. Look, we do crazy and beaches. That's our thing. And we oftentimes do them together.
Sometimes at the same time, yep.
Yeah. Potentially with a man riding a lawn tractor naked with an alligator somewhere. I mean, it's just a very Florida thing. Like that may be what goes wrong with all of our football players as they get down here and they get exposed to Florida and then they just all go a little crazy.
Well, hey, at least the Miami Dolphin cheerleaders haven't been caught tricking in the bathroom like the Carolina Panthers did.
Oops.
Which one? Was it the Jag cheerleaders that a few years got in trouble for like fighting and they also had a bathroom issue?
I thought it was the Carolina Panthers where two of the cheerleaders were like caught in the bathroom, getting on or something. But yeah.
Yes.
It was some cheerleader thing, but it's Sharona's other team, the Panthers, and they actually look okay, you know.
What?
And they sort of stole the Dolphins colors, sort of. They did that teal thing.
Yeah, but without the orange. It's probably a good fashion choice.
So, Sharona, do you have the guts? What are you doing with Cam this week? I just need to know, whatever you're doing, I need to do the opposite.
It's Thursday night football. It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right. Where hope goes to die.
I'm probably not going to play him, but I'm undecided at the moment. And I forget who the Chiefs play again. I forget.
Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to play Alex Smith. Because the Steelers' defense blows.
What about the Jags just blowing out the Steelers? And I took Roethlisberger in like the 9th round of our Yahoo League thinking, woohoo! And like I caught him last week. I'm so glad I got Deshaun Watson. Because wow, does he look done? I mean, seriously.
I feel so bad for Steelers fans because, you know, like, we're all used to our teams being terrible, hot, flaming messes of garbage, but like they're just used to like things being good. I mean, how long has it been since the Steelers have truly epically sucked? Like, I don't know, like 8 years or something. So I can't imagine. I mean, I have a lot of Steelers fans, and they seem to be suffering, and I'm of course there with the salt, being like, wow, those are some nice picks. But
is Josh Dobbs still on their roster?
He's on there, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure. It's ugly. It's they got Le'Veon Bell and they got Antonio Brown, and see how they end up doing. They'll somehow maybe bounce back onto their feet, but yeah.
The AFC North does look particularly disgusting this year.
Yeah. Their defense lost what, Timmons, and
yeah,
another Dolphin. There. Like, what happened with Timmons?
Timmons was covering Supernaw on the touchdown, so thanks. Yeah. Didn't he get benched only because he didn't show up to the locker room or something? What happened?
He went to the fort. I think it was then they were in California. He just disappeared for a game. He just disappeared. That's what I'm talking about. That's the Dolphins right there. Is there's a story. It's not good. And eventually, in a year, there'll be something, and it'll involve a goat, a prostitute, and 3 coaches and an assault charge.
And some coke.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, white substance that we're not sure what it is.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that anonymous white substance.
Come on, lawyer people. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
On the video, there was
allegedly drank beer during the show.
Yes.
You don't know what this is.
Could be Coke.
I say it's beer. It is not Coke, or neither version. Okay, well, gosh, we've crushed an hour. We're going way past. So, Lisa, where people can find you, and can you give us a name or two that we should avoid this week, since Charles Clay was last week?
Yeah, sorry about that, kids. Yeah, you can find me at fantasysharks.com, and I'm at Lee Dog Law on Twitter. And this week, I think I'm starting entirely too much Josh McCown out of desperation. So he should probably have a piano.
Rest in peace, Josh McCown.
Huh?
Rest in peace, Josh McCown.
Yeah. Now, if a piano falls from the sky and hits him, I won't be surprised. I feel like everybody I own too many shares of turns into Wile E. Coyote. So, yeah, that'd be the one that I'd be afraid of, because he'll probably be crushed within the first 20 minutes of the game. I don't have a choice. He's the only quarterback left in 2 or 3 of my leagues.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago where everybody said don't start Bilal Powell, and then he had that great game, and then last week I started him and he got hurt almost immediately. Just happens.
Yeah. Football's not fair like that.
Well, Sharona, what you up to these days? What's happening?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Sports by Sharona, and you can catch my work at Our Turf Football, where I am the AFC coordinator, and also Inside the Pylon. I've got an article dropping there, a fairly long piece article dropping there soon, so check it out. And of course, every Wednesday night, usually, with my good buddy Zach on Going for Two.
Are you going to give him the blue another shot? I hear you're reloading.
It's faded some. It's hard to see. It's faded some. Yes, I do have more blue, and yes, we are going to. It's great because I think I finally found a color where my gray sort of blends in. So we're going to stick with it.
I should go teal sometime, just to represent the old school Dolphins before they change their colors and have the weird... The Ray Finkel. I need Ray Finkel.
And also, I guess I should say I'm going to be manning the keys for our Inside the Pylon fantasy podcast, fantasy frequency this week, and also doing start sits on Phantom on Sundays. So check that out.
Very nice.
You're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just tweet. So yeah, Zach_Law. That's where you can find me when I'm not drinking my way through another podcast. So thanks again, Lisa, for being on again.
Thank you for having me. I always love being here.
I just look up in the auction standings, and there you are. And elsewhere.
All right,
of course,
isn't Katie beating us again?
I'm sure. She's just drilling me, I'm sure.
David Johnson, and then, that didn't go well. Nothing went well. There's too many I's next to my players' names in the Scott Fishbowl, but that happens. So again, thank you, Lisa, for being on. Thank you, Sharona, for putting up with this nonsense. And again, good night, everybody, and kiss my grits.